Hello, dear. It's Heather, and you're watching Save Today with Heather J. I am somebody who has spent her entire adult life living paycheck to paycheck and being one financial event away from crisis. My budget has not had any buffer in it whatsoever to kind of deal with life's ups and downs, and I certainly haven't had any savings set aside to make any kind of large ticket items, go on any real planned vacations. So I am trying to change that. I'm trying to make a better plan, get out of any debts I have, be able to save some money and have a better future than I have in the past. So today we're filming what I like to call my debts and desires, which I kind of think sounds like a bit of a Harlequin romance mystery novel. But this is what a lot of people will call their debt confession, which I think is a very clickbaity kind of title. This is my monthly debt overview, the very first one I'm filming because May is my first time ever doing a budget and sharing it with you guys. This is something I don't tend to look at myself a whole lot because, again, I find it extremely discouraging. But we're going to fight through that and we're going to move forward. I have listed here my debts as they sit as I know them. I am quite certain that as time goes on, there will be more things that show up that I'm unaware of because, again, I don't check these things. I don't pay attention, and I am somebody who I don't have the money to pay the bills, so I just set the envelope off to the side and then it just gets lost, it gets forgotten about, nothing gets done with it. So there are going to be things that I'm unaware of because of the poor choices I made in the past. So this is everything in my debts as I know them to be today. But don't be surprised if now that I'm tracking in the next month and the month after, there may be some things here that show up on here that weren't here today. So that is the nature of living the paycheck to paycheck that I have over the last, 20 plus years. And so that's why we're trying to change these behaviors. I'm not going to get ahead if I constantly have these things showing up and then going on my credit report. It's time to make a change. So today, let's get into what we've got for my debts and see where we stand. So I do have my credit card. I have one credit card that I'm paying off, and I have just 2 more payments left on that. I have one that's going to be, I believe, on the 18th or 19th of May for $100, and one that will be on the 2nd of June, that will be for $26.64. And then I am out of any credit card debt, but I also do not have any current credit cards. So once this is paid off, not immediately, but when this is paid off, I will then be trying to get a secured credit card, which is where I give them a certain amount of my money. They hold on to it and give me a credit card for that amount of money. Let's say $300. I'm going to send $300 in. They're going to give me a credit card that has a $300 limit, and then I can make purchases on that. Eventually, by being consistent and good with that and not spending too much, and by making my payments on time, eventually that credit balance gets more. It's no longer secured. And they're going to move it, say, from $300 to $500. And they're going to trust me with $200 of their money to do that. And then eventually I get that $300 back in my account once I've proven that. So I won't be immediately, but as soon as this bad credit debt is paid off, I am going to begin that process of rebuilding credit using a secured credit card. But so for right now, my last credit card is $126.64. And then again, I have those U-Haul boxes. Everything I own currently is in U-Haul boxes in another state. This $2,667, that was the estimate to have those things shipped to me. I am working really hard to get these sent to me this month. Not this month, May, but the next month, as I'm considering June's budget. It's looking like if things go just exactly perfect, I should be able to get them in June. June for me is looking like a 3-paycheck month, just based again on where the first of the month is and where those paychecks fall before the next first of the month. And I have filed my taxes for both last year and the year before, and there is a potential that the year before there may be a $1,400 tax credit that I didn't get because I didn't file those taxes that I might be able to get. I'm not sure how that's going to fall, but between having one extra paycheck and having a larger tax return than typical, I should be able to get those U-Haul boxes to me, and then that monthly fee of the $97 per box times 3 goes away. Then I have old rent, and I've titled it old rent, but it's not actually old rent. I owe it to my old landlord, but it's some cleaning and repair fees from when I've moved out, and then I said I would be out by a certain time, and then I ended up needing an extra, I think it was an extra 10 days to get everything kind of out and cleaned and ready to where I was ready to hand over the keys. And so I owe that old landlord $709 between those two. And so once I have these two paid, then I no longer have the credit card payment coming out of my monthly bill. I no longer have those U-Haul boxes coming out of my monthly bill, and I would now have the extra to get that taken care of. I'm hoping I can get that taken care of all in one shot, but it might have to be broken down to a couple of payments. So it's my hope that in June I will have that credit card and that U-Haul box done, and then in July I can get to this old rent and get that off of there before there starts to be more fees. And it may be at this point that there is already more fees that, again, I'm not aware of because I haven't received that either in an email or in my mailbox yet. Then I have a bill for toll roads for $198.85. This is another situation where I have become my own worst enemy. I, again, was living out of state. I needed to go, this is from 2 or 3 different things. They have a couple of, they have several toll roads that I was unaware of. Initially, I had gone to IKEA after work one day, which is a 45-minute trip, and purchased a shelving unit. In that shelving unit, I was missing, I think, 2 screws or plastic bolts or something. And so then I drove from my house back to IKEA, which was another hour trip because that's how far away it was, to get those missing bolts. Well, when I went from my house to IKEA, apparently some of those roads that I was on were toll roads, and it was over $20, I think it was $28 in tolls to go get my free screws. And that made me angry, but now, because I didn't know that those tolls were going to be there, anyway, once I was aware of that, I did set my GPS to avoid tolls, and then had to go to the airport to pick somebody up or to go fly out. I don't even remember what that trip was about, but getting to the airport puts you on toll roads. You set the GPS to avoid tolls and it's going along just fine, and you're almost there and it's like, oh, we're going to reroute you to avoid heavy traffic. And you can't pull up the phone and touch the cancel while you're in heavy traffic. So then all of a sudden I'm rerouted to toll roads. It's like, I was very angry. How dare they force me to pay tolls to get to the airport? And that happened 3 or 4 different times. No matter which direction I went, no matter if I said, use this route, don't change, it would end up rerouting me to a toll road. So this, because I was angry and I was not going to pay your stinking tolls, ended up being those tolls plus late fees Now it's gone to some collections or attorneys or whatever. And so now there's those fees for those other people who were involved in what would have been $45 or $55 is now $200. Again, poor decisions because I live paycheck to paycheck, because I've chosen to not pay attention, to ignore those things, because all of the excuses, and I use the word choice a lot in my videos. Every one of these decisions is an absolute choice. I chose not to pay that. I chose to sit in my emotions and let this build, and now it's triple what it was. Again, this is part of why I'm doing this and holding myself accountable. I have some bad behaviors that have to change, and they're not changing by ignoring them. So we're gonna change that. So that's why I have that $198.85. And I do believe I'm trying to get that one done in July as well. Again, assuming I can get this U-Haul out of there. And then I have Banner Health. This is a hospital. Again, a bill from where I used to live. We had got COVID around Thanksgiving time last year, not 2022, just 6 months ago, but the year prior to that, we had, my household got COVID. And so I went in and took a test and came back positive. The person I was living with was unable to smell. And so that was when I knew it was in our household. So I went back 10 days later so that I could take another test to find out whether it was positive or negative to go back to work. And that second test was not covered by my insurance. So that's $50. This is an example of something, both of these are examples of something that showed up kind of out of the blue when I was getting my information gathered up before I actually started this channel at the very beginning of my May budget. While I was gathering up all of my information, I had gathered up all of the bills I was aware of, and these toll roads and this Banner Health weren't on that. Those have both shown up in my mailbox within the last 2 weeks. And so I'm now aware of them to have that presented to you on my first debt overview. But if I had set this video up at the very beginning of the month, those wouldn't be on there. They'd be showing up in the next debt overview. So just be aware that I fully expect more things to show up because I am my own worst enemy. And then I have 2 student loans. My first student loan is for $4,500. And then my second student loan is for $2,481. These student loans were in 2 years at the same college. I'm not exactly sure how the student loans work, but one type does not charge any interest until you're done with school. And then you have a certain period of time, I think 6 months, maybe it's a year, that they don't charge you any interest and allow you to get established in your job, whatever. And then the second type starts charging interest immediately. And so that's what both of these are. This first type is not charging any interest. And this, I think this full $481 is all interest that has accrued from when I initially got it, because I wasn't paying any of that interest initially. Of course, at the moment, student loans are on hold. That's not likely to continue. And I'm going to sit here and admit to you all that I'm waiting and hoping to see what happens with the case that's currently in the Supreme Court. I haven't heard that it is or has not been approved. I fully expect it to not be approved, but I am waiting to see if that $10,000 will be written off. Because as you can see, if that's the case, then this goes away for me. And if it's not the case, that's fine. I start paying for that. Assuming I get my all of these others paid. So I want the first 2 paid in June, which is my credit card and my U-Haul, and then the rent, the toll roads, and Banner Health. It's my hope that those will be paid in July. And then in August, I would be able to start making payments on these 2 student loans, and or setting money aside as I wait to find out what the conclusion of whether we're going to have any student loan relief or not. So that is everything I am aware of for my debts at this time, which is a total of $10,732.49. Again, I expect things to show up. I'm hoping but not expecting my student loans to be taken care of through the student loan relief program. I definitely am not in the service sector, so it's not I don't have any of those other things to go away. So it's down here. I expect that I'm going to be paying for it, and, it'd be nice if I don't have to. Now we're going to get into the desires portion of my debt and desires, my debt overview. These are things, again, that are either big ticket items I'd like to have or kind of non-essentials that are very set for a specific thing and a little bit harder to justify in my monthly budget. So we'll take a look at what some of these are and why I want some of those. The first one I have on my list is the highest ticket I have in my desires category at this time. And that's what's called a Sweet 16 Handy Quilter. That is $6,495. It can be more and it can be less than this price, depending on whether I buy it at a quilt shop or at a quilt show. But what this is it's a big machine that quilts. Again, I do a lot of creative endeavors, and quilts is one of them. And it's kind of a very important one for me. And I have a king size quilt I can't finish right now because it obviously doesn't fit underneath my hand machines. And I'm not interested in taking my quilts or sending my quilts to have somebody else do the finishing product on them. And I'm not interested in learning how to use a long arm. I will never in my life own a long arm for a lot of different reasons. Partly cost. Long arm is $2,000 or $28,000. They cost as much as a car for some in some places, and it's probably even more than that. And they require you to stand up, and I fully expect that as I continue to age, I may end up in a wheelchair just based on some other health issues, and standing up is not going to be an option for me. So I don't want to go learn something that I won't be able to continue forward. Anyway, that's a big long spiel. It's a very niche product, and it's a very niche information, so I won't dwell on that a whole lot. But that's $6,000 that I want for that, and I have so many projects that I can't move forward because I don't have the equipment to do that with. So that's why that's high on the list. And then the second thing I have down here is U-Haul for $5,195. You're like, what the heck, Heather? You said you're paying your U-Haul here. This is actually, I would like to buy one of the box trucks that they no longer have in their rotation. They actually sell their 14-foot and 17-foot trucks. I don't know why they don't sell their 24 or 26-foot trucks, but I've not been able to find where that is something that they do regularly. But I want to purchase one and have to own for a couple of different reasons. One, as you may have gathered, I tend to move a lot. And the number one most expensive part of that is renting the U-Haul and paying the gasoline. So if I own my own U-Haul, it's only going to take, if $2,667 is what it's going to take for me to get my stuff to me, then it's 2 trips and I've paid for this. 2.5 trips and I've paid for this. I fully expect to move more than 2 more times in my lifetime. So I see this as an investment that isn't going to take long for me to have recouped in that sense. Also, I have briefly touched on the fact that with my creative endeavors, part of the long-term goal is to be self-employed doing that, or as a side hustle to benefit to my current income. And so I would need to have a way to transport my products to and from shows and things. And I mean, I could probably use a pickup truck in the beginning. In fact, in the beginning, I can probably use the trunk of my car. I don't expect that I'm going to be 3 weeks in and needing to have a box truck to haul my stuff in. But again, this is something that I do see as a long-term process and know that this is something that would benefit me. I have looked at how much it costs to rent a van. Let's say I'm going to be going, 3 hours away to do some sort of festival or event, and I'm going to rent a van, load all my stuff in there, drive there, spend the weekend, and drive back. That's $500 or $600, $700 depending on where I'm at to just get to the event. Where if I already have this truck, now it's just the gas to get there because I already own this. I'm not having to pay, again, those rental fees. Additionally, I want to be somebody who lives in an RV. I actually wanted to buy an old RV, strip it down and rebuild it, and basically live in a tiny house. And this box truck is a very inexpensive way to make that happen fairly quickly. So again, this I'd see as an investment, as something that helps me out with several different things that I'm wanting to accomplish in my life, in my very near future. So that's what that is, $5,195. The next thing I have down here is a steam juicer. Again, my creative endeavors or my hobby endeavors, I have recently gotten into canning and preserving food. And in that process, I have seen videos of a steam juicer, which for those of you who don't know and might be interested, I'll keep it brief for those who aren't interested. That is a 3-tiered pot colander type situation where the bottom tier has that you hold water in it. The second tier is almost like, I don't know, donut shaped or maybe bundt cake shaped, where it's got a hole in the center and it's kind of cup shaped. So that hole in the center allows the steam from the water to get above, and that kind of cup shape around the rim traps the juices. That second layer has a little spigot on it. And then the top layer looks like a colander, and you put your fruits in there. So grapes or blackberries or apples or nectarines, whatever, you put your fruit in there, and that steam comes up and breaks the cells of the fruit and releases those juices, which are then caught in that second layer. Big long story. The biggest immediate need I wanted the steam juicer for was I had made some jam. I'd made some blackberry jam. I love the flavor of the blackberry jam. I do not like the seeds of the blackberry jam. I had purchased something else called a ricer, I think it's called, and that I didn't like that. I didn't get enough of the fruit, and I still got way too much of the seeds. I actually returned that ricer. I didn't like it. It wasn't something I ever wanted to do, and I had resigned myself to the fact that I'm never making blackberry jam again. And then I saw somebody using this steam juicer. Basically, it's the original fruit juice concentrate, grape juice concentrate. Anyway, I want that. I would use it for a lot of things, not just blackberry jam. And so that's on my list. Again, am I going to spend $150 on that when I'm as tight as my budget is? No, but that's something I definitely want to work towards. Then I have on here a green bean Frencher. That's only $20. I probably could buy that out of my miscellaneous budget because I want to can some green beans and I prefer them Frenched and not. But again, it's such a very specific niche thing that's on here because it's not something I'm going to be using constantly or frequently. It's something that might get used, I don't know, 3 times in a year. And again, I've never actually canned green beans. I may try it one time and decide it's not worth it for me to do it. I'm happy to just go buy it from the Green Giant, whatever. So that's only $20. Then I have on here a haircut and color, and I probably can take that paper out now. The reason I have this on here is because for a woman to get her hair done nice is expensive. I have curly hair, not crazy curly hair, but wavy hair, and that needs to be treated a little bit differently than straight hair. So I have discovered within the last few years the dry cut method, and so to go to somebody who's been trained to cut curly hair correctly is more expensive because they've had more training, again, niche training. So anytime it's niche like that, you're going to pay more for it. And I probably want to have my hair colored. I do, obviously, well, maybe not obviously. I've referenced the fact that I'm aging. I'm getting closer to my golden years. And so I have gray hair, and I probably want to have that colored right now. And I haven't had my hair cut in well over a year and a half. We might even be pushing 2 years. It's not something I can justify in my budget right now, but it's something I desperately want to have done. So that is on my list of desires. And then I don't have any dollar amount attached to this, but it's time to buy some new pants. I have referenced the fact in some of my other videos that I tend to wear my pants out in the thigh. I wear a hole in the pants, and I'm down to just 3 or 4 pairs of pants right now. In fact, I think I'm down to 3. And 2 of those, no, I'm down to 4. 2 of those 4 are beginning to wear holes, and I'm only going to be able to wear them for another couple of weeks. Pants are expensive. I hate shopping. To get a good pair of quality jeans is not cheap. But I don't know how much it's going to cost, and I need more than 1 pair, so I don't even have an estimated number in here. I just have that written down because that's something that needs to happen. I don't like it, but it needs to happen. The 4 pants I currently own were hand-me-downs from somebody else who I used to work with. And I haven't even lived in that state where I worked with this person for 2.5 years, maybe even 3 years. So clearly I'm beyond overdue for a pair for new clothes, new pants in particular. So that's on the list. And then the last thing on this list is a 3-way mirror. Again, I don't have a price for that. I don't know how much it costs. The price can vary depending on the quality and where you get it from. Why do I want a 3-way mirror? I'm somebody who sews, and I do apparel sewing as well as the quilting. And I don't have anybody in my close circle of friends who also is an apparel sewer who could help me with some fit stuff. So I need a 3-way mirror to see all sides as I'm trying to fit some things. If I was a little bit further along in this journey, and when I get further along, I'll be able to make my own pants, and it'll be I will like that more than going shopping. I'm somebody who has quite literally been in the dressing room in tears. I hate shopping. So at some point I'll be able to make my own, but right now I've got to get the things that I don't have in order to get there. So I have a total of my desires of $12,010. Again, I have 2 very high ticket items in there, and they both have an equally likelihood of that ever actually happening. These right now are nothing but fantasy. I just can't see where I'm going month to month and I have this much debt, how I'll ever be able to save enough to do these things that are on my list. But this has been on my list. This handy quilter has been on my list for probably 7 years. This is something I've wanted. This isn't something that's going to go away. This isn't something that's just a pipe dream. This is necessary for me. This U-Haul could change whether that's a U-Haul or something else, but the RV living is not something that's new to me. The mobile living is not something that's new to me. I've moved a lot. I plan to continue moving. I have accepted the fact that I'm a nomad, and it's going to be less expensive and much easier if I just make that decision to live in, whether that's an RV, which are ridiculously priced and very poor quality, or it's a tiny home, which are incredibly heavy and hard on gas, or it's something like this, that's the U-Haul that's already made to drive and easy to renovate, but isn't very cute. So that's where I'm at with my desires. Then the last thing I wanted to kind of touch base on with you guys, mostly because I wanted to know this, is my credit score. Part of why, maybe not for you, part of my struggle is my credit score. I feel like anybody who's on a debt journey has a credit score battle they're dealing with. So I wanted to just touch base on this, and this might not be something that I carry every month, at least publicly, but it's something I need to watch for myself. And so I was able to, in preparation for this video, was able to go back and check my Experian score. It went all the way back to April of 2020. I suspect that it just has a 3-year backlog. I don't think that's the very first time I ever was on Experian, but that's 3 years from when I checked. And in April of 2020, my credit score was 582. So for those who might be watching and don't know, with a credit score, anything below 580 is in the poor mark. From 580 to 670 is considered fair. And then from 670 to 683, I believe, is considered good. Oh, I'm going to have to double check that because I think I've got my numbers wrong. It might be 749 is considered good, and then anything over that is considered excellent. I don't know what's considered good or excellent because I've never been good or excellent. So in April, I was at 582, which was considered fair credit, just barely, but fair credit. My absolute lowest low in that 3-year period was in September of 2022. In September of 2022, my credit score was $490, which is well below fair. I mean, look, it's well below that. My highest point in that 3-year was in June of 2021. I had a 695, which was good. No, which was fair. I was just barely not in the good at that point. No, it wasn't good. I wasn't in excellent. So 695 was actually really great for me. I was super excited to be that high. But where am I currently? Am I at my lowest or my highest? My current score is 537. So I'm very much in poor credit. I have a long ways to go before I get to good again. This is probably a year to get from 537 to 580. Maybe 9 months. So I've got a lot of work to do. So I've got to get these paid off. I've got to get this number higher. And part of getting this number higher is getting some of this stuff off of my credit, and is to start building again with the credit cards. So that is where I'm at with my May 2023 debts and desires. So if you have enjoyed this video and want to watch and see where this goes, how quickly we get ahead, please click subscribe. And otherwise, I will see you the next time. I thank you so much for joining me today. Wherever you are, whatever you're doing, please have fun.